Hi, I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli. You can check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli. And you can follow me on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
You can follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And today we're going to talk about the classic Tony Scott movie.
Joint, True Romance.
Yeah.
Tarantino's screenplay.
Yeah, it's an interesting intersection. You have Tarantino's early career kind of crossing paths with Tony Scott, from Top Gun, from Beverly Hills Cop 2, just kind of this
Crimson Tide,
just this ultimate 80s director, that 80s aesthetic, high gloss, smoke everywhere.
Love it.
Sunrise, sunset, magic hour
stuff.
Yeah.
Top Gun gives me goosebumps. I'm a Tony Scott I can't get enough Tony Scott.
Yeah, and
huge fan.
Yeah, really great stuff. I didn't know who he was until True Romance. Watching Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Top Gun, I kind of watched those just as a kid and as just a spectator, just oh, here's a cool 80s movie. Or
The Last Boy Scout.
Didn't he direct one of the Lethal Weapon movies too, Lethal Weapon 2 or something?
I'm not.
Maybe he did.
It might have been Donner.
Well, I know Donner did the first one. I don't know if he did all of them, but yeah, Tony Scott. So I just kind of as oh, here's a cool 80s movie, not any knowledge of directors and stuff. And then when I got older and became a Tarantino fan, then it was you'd hear him talk about Tony Scott and True Romance, and so then I was oh, that's that guy who did all those movies that were
the coolest,
the cool 80s movies.
I thought when I was little, I was the coolest person in the world is Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans from The Last Boy Scout. I was I need to get on their level.
Yeah, right.
These guys are so cool.
There's an interesting intersection there, The Last Boy Scout, and then the guy who wrote Last Boy Scout
Shane Black.
Shane Black, yeah, he directed Iron Man 3 and stuff.
When Tony Scott, I believe, got the scripts for Reservoir Dogs and True Romance, Tarantino, it's kind of life. I don't know what it's how in True Romance he gets hooked up with Bronson Pinchot through his friend Dick Ritchie.
Yeah.
He's trying to buy 1,000 pounds of coke.
Yeah, a lot of good cocaine humor, and also True Romance kind of comes out. Was it 1990 or something?
I want to say maybe 92 or 93.
Okay, so it comes out at a time when the 80s is in the rearview mirror. It's super it was only the 80s a couple years ago, but the 80s are in the rearview mirror. So it's they're talking about coke not as not the way cocaine would be in an 80s movie, but hey, remember the 80s and coke? Remember the 82 years ago when it was the 80s? Here's so they got getting hit in the face with bags of coke, just all this
coke exploding.
Yeah, it's basically a Laurel and Hardy movie or a Three Stooges movie.
It's you're right. You're so right. If the Stooges got their hands on some coke, this is how it would play out.
Where, Ollie!
Wow, you groundhog! And he jams coke up.
You're porcupine.
And he jams the coke up his nose.
Yeah. Oh, you like powder? Here's some powder for you.
Hey, it's powder, bro.
Why don't you take a powder? Here's some.
And he starts put it up.
But it is the 80s are in the rearview mirror, and Tarantino says a lot of the it was kind of this hey, nostalgia kind of movie when it came out, but he said the script is pretty much unchanged from what he wrote, but when he wrote it, he didn't write it as this nostalgia period piece about the 80s. He wrote it as a current movie because he wrote it in the 80s.
Holy shit! Yeah, you were mentioning because T.J. Hooker comes up.
Yeah, because it's
the new
hey,
TJ.
I'm trying out for T.J. Hooker it's the new T.J. Hooker. They're bringing it back because in the original script, T.J. Hooker was like a current show when he wrote it. So it's like he's trying out for T.J. Hooker. So now that the movie's coming out and T.J. Hooker's been off the air for like 9 years, they have to like say, "Oh no, it's the new T.J. Hooker," which like now they would be like, "Oh, it's a reboot of T.J. Hooker."
Like
they need to remake True Romance.
They did, like he so he gets onto the set of The Last Boy Scout and gives Tony Scott the script for Reservoir Dogs and True Romance.
Mm-hmm. And Tony Scott, I this as a side note, Ridley Scott's brother.
Yeah.
He sneaks. So Quentin Tarantino gets onto the set of Last Boy Scout through a friend, meets Tony Scott, hands him the script for Reservoir Dogs and the script for True Romance.
And I think he flew to like the UK. And
I guess Tony Scott said, like,
he wanted to do them both.
Well, he said, I think he told him, like, you should direct Reservoir Dogs. Like, he was the one who told Quentin, like, you should direct this.
I didn't know that.
I shouldn't direct it. You should direct this.
I thought he was like, he's like, I want to do them both. And he's like, you can only do one of them. And Tony picked True Romance.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe I'm hearing different,
He said if he had done True Romance, his cat, like, you know how like he always has like spot on casting. If he had directed True Romance and made it, he wrote the characters with Robert Carradine in the Clarence Worley role and Joan Cusack as Alabama. Wouldn't that have been fucking?
Joan Cusack as Alabama would be interesting. Yeah,
isn't that would have been wild?
I like that. Yeah,
Revenge of the Nerd, Robert Carradine.
I just saw. Man, like, that would be.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's like, and again, it is a different movie because like it's like off center. Like again, like Tony Scott is doing like the glamorous version. It's like Christian Slater and Roseanne. Is it or?
Patricia,
Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. It's kind of like
Hollywood.
The high gloss Hollywood version, and then Revenge of the Nerds and Joan Cusack.
Wouldn't that have been radical?
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. That would be what a great debut that would have been.
Holy shit!
It's like you can't help. Like I love True Romance and I love it exactly as it is, but you can't help picturing that version. But I mean, it's such a home run. I mean, like I love it. I love Natural Born Killers also, even though Tarantino like gives the like thumbs down to that.
The Oliver Stone.
Yeah, Oliver Stone. Like Oliver Stone did his Oliver Stone thing and did it kind of like gloriously with that movie. So and the things that Tarantino says bothered him about that movie do seem like the kind of things that would bother like the writer of the screenplay, but not anybody else. Because he's like, there's a couple scenes where he's like, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done that.
Tarantino, I think he said that in True Romance, it was written out of order. Like
right, it was going to start with his dad
walking.
Delivering his speech to Christopher Walken. And then I think like Christopher Walken was going to shoot him, and then you were going to see
what happened.
What led up to that. Which again, like when again, that would have been cool.
Yeah, because it's like then when Walken's talking to Hopper, you're
when
like
he's walking and talking.
When he's like
this comedian,
your son, fuckhead. You got Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, again, like. Part of
How dare he?
It like he wasn't like it makes me wonder if he's part of Tony Scott's universe. Like, why wasn't he in Beverly Hills Cop 2? He was so great in Beverly Hills Cop. Serge. Why wasn't he in Beverly Hills Cop 2? But maybe he was like too busy being a superstar in Perfect Strangers, and he couldn't get over there to be.
He was big time
Cop 2, yeah.
And then you got Damon Wayans is in the Tony Scott universe. He was the Banana Man in the first one, who gives him the banana for the tailpipe.
That's right, yeah.
And he was in Last Boy Scout. So you got.
We're not gonna fall for a banana in a tailpipe.
Like, they got those glasses with the banana on. I want to get those on eBay, like the Beverly Hills Cop banana tailpipe glasses.
Tony Scott, not involved in Beverly Hills Cop 1.
Oh, you're right.
But that's why I'm saying like it's odd that like the Beverly Hills Cop that Tony Scott didn't direct has Bronson Pinchot in it, but the one he directed doesn't, and then he has him in.
He was in the first two. I think.
Maybe that's
he
how
he plucked them and brought them to the Tony Scottiverse.
Like maybe that's how Bronson Pinchot got into into True Romance, because maybe he was like Tony. Why wasn't I in Beverly Hills Cop 2? I would have loved to have been in. Why didn't you write me into Beverly Hills Cop 2? And he's like, oh man, hey bloke, I fucked up. I fucked up, mate. Maybe it was like, you know what?
I've been hanging around Quentin.
Yeah, I'll make it up to you, and you're going in this next movie I'm making. Maybe it was like that.
Serge. It's like I always fall for a banana.
This animal. When he said, he's talking about to the guy with the chest hair. It's not sexy.
Remember he tells him like clean this up, bro.
Serge. So good.
Oh my god.
And then he comes back for Beverly Hills Cop 3, and it's like too little, too late. Rick Dalton, like all through the book, they're saying to him, Marvin Schwartz is saying to him, you got to do something about that pompadour.
Yeah.
Ricky Nelson doesn't even wear a pompadour anymore. Like you're so Eisenhower era, you're so 50s with that pompadour. And then like when he comes back from Italy, he's got like the
Joe Don Baker.
Yeah, he's got the CC Ryder haircut.
CC Ryder.
The CC and Company haircut.
I cannot wait for our CC and Company episode.
Yeah.
It feels, you're right, Tom, though. It feels like we've had 7 CC and Company episodes.
Yeah. Maybe we were planning to do it, because I feel like I watched it, but yeah, maybe I don't know if I just watched it for fun after us talking about it, or if it was for an episode. But yeah, so True Romance, kind of like the it's kind of like a retroactive Tarantino movie for me too, because I kind of like, got into Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs. With Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Natural Born Killers, and then kind of like backtracked to True Romance. I hadn't seen it like prior to that.
I saw it.
I got caught up in Tarantino mania.
Oh heck yeah! Like
Bruce exploitation, Tarantino exploitation.
Like with like the preview for True Romance was on like all the VHS tapes I would rent. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my god, they're on a roller coaster? That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And then like I would see it, and then like you're right, like when I got caught up in Tarantino mania myself, I was like, I need to go rewatch that with the knowledge that Tarantino wrote it to
exactly,
soak it in.
He's like it's kind of like he's writing all these scripts and like doesn't know if any of them are going to get made, so like they're all kind of like redundant. So it's like there's Alabama is like a character in like a bunch of them, and like because he's like, oh, that's a great name. Like probably if he knew every single one of them was going to get made, maybe he would have.
You're right. Like and
like every one of them has somebody say it's got everything from a diddle-I-do to a damn divine.
He's like, I'll bet you green folding money, green money. Judd Apatow said that he got the idea for Pineapple Express off of Brad Pitt's character. I can't remember what's his.
Oh yeah, I forget his. Yeah, it's like
he said.
Yeah.
What if the movie stayed with him and you had to like avoid those mob guys?
No, that's really cool.
That's where he got the whole idea for Pineapple Express.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because he is like a standout character, and it's like, I'm trying to remember Brad Pitt's career, but like
Floyd, his name's Floyd.
Yeah, but like Brad Pitt wasn't Brad Pitt when that movie came out, right? Like it wasn't like because when I watched it, it was like, oh my god, here's Brad Pitt playing like a bit role in a movie. Now, is it Brad Pitt playing a bit role in a movie, or it was like before Brad Pitt was Brad Pitt, he's playing a bit role in a movie, and then he becomes Brad Pitt later,
I remember Brad Pitt, the first time he was on my radar was Legends of the Fall.
Yeah, and was that before?
Or River Runs Through It. I can't remember what one. It might have been River Runs. Was he in River Runs Through It?
And that was after True Romance, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But just like the idea of like the Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, you know, like
the power couple.
like that Brad Pitt, like this like super famous Brad Pitt. He wasn't that when he was in True Romance, right?
I don't think so.
Exactly. Like he would have had a much bigger role in the
Yeah,
like,
they would have relegated him to like 3 lines.
Because it was like by the time I saw True Romance, Brad Pitt was a big deal already.
One of the reasons I appreciate Brad Pitt so much is that he has like this. He's like a character actor who looks like a lead. Like he doesn't mind like getting weird.
Yeah, he was never. He was never like a Marvel character. Like he was never a Captain America or Spider-Man or something. You know.
So like Judd Apatow was like, I was obsessed with Floyd, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to stay with him and like if the mobsters were chasing after Floyd, and that's how he got the idea for Pineapple.
That's
Express.
brilliant. You know, I was just thinking, like he was in a Marvel movie. There's like a in the second Deadpool movie. I forget which character it was, but there's like a character who wears a mask through the whole thing, and then like for like 1 second the mask comes off and it's Brad Pitt, and then he dies.
So he did make his way in there.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about like the Three Stooges with all that Coke.
Yeah. Like, because it is like one of those scenes where they're trying to bake a cake or something, and there's just flour flying everywhere.
The police, they're
marshmallow jumbo tastes more like marshmallow gumbo.
Well, we've got the three full cases of cocaine. We had to have the moving company come and transport this. And then they call the fucking Three Stooges right. Why do they call the Stooges? They like bring them. They're like, we've called the best movers in town. And they're like, woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, hitting each other with the ladder.
They're like, all right, you dummy, we're gonna move the Coke. No, he's like, we're gonna tell them it's powdered sugar. They don't know it's Coke.
We're making waffles here. I'm nuts. You imbecile! We're making waffles. We need powdered sugar for our waffles.
It's like a deluxe Belgian. The Belgian waffle's like gigantic.
Yeah, I mean, like it would be. They would take all the cocaine and then bake a cake with it. You idiot! That was $40,000 worth of cocaine, and you baked a cake.
It's
chocolate.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then the old lady is like eating the cake and stuff. It's like bouncing.
Yeah, you're right. They're serving it at like some like society thing, and they're cutting it, and then they're like they're behind the curtain. They're like,
and then that's when Curly like starts running around in a circle on the floor.
We gotta get out there and stop the cake.
You can't serve that cake.
How dare you? Get your hands up.
If those folks eat that cake, they're gonna be hitting the ceiling. You start playing now. This is the
There's a guy with a monocle and a mustache, and he's about to he eats the cake, and then he starts like flapping his arms like a bird. It's a condor. It's gonna take off.
True Romance, when he's talking to Elvis.
Yes.
He's like hallucinating that he's talking to Elvis. Like Christian Slater, like
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer plays Elvis. Like you're so on, like Christian Slater's. Like you're so along for the ride with him. You're so on his side, and like, and because it's such a well written character, but then it's like Christian Slater, so you're just so on the right, and like, if you take Christian Slater out of the equation, like just going by the script, he is like a much like kind of like weirder and like not just like a straight up hero kind of and he is troubled, and he is bad news, and he is gonna get everybody around him killed, and he's following
he didn't have to kill Elvis. Drexel.
And like he's listening to what this like imaginary friend is telling him to do, this like Elvis,
Love you, Clarence. Always have, always will.
Yeah.
He's like, and how about how did the comics hit? Like, it was 92, and like you got a guy being overt, like talking.
Yeah,
well, how did that?
Yeah, because like prior to that, it would be like the comics guy on The Simpsons, and then now you got Christian Slater, like the coolest guy. Talking about issues of Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, and then like that, and that's like that's like how he gets Alabama into bed is like he tells her this like story from like a Jack Kirby Sergeant Fury comic book, and it, like she's like so like blown away by the romance of the story he's telling her, and then they start getting it on in this like little like a room above a comic shop.
Once again, Tony Scott filming Detroit. His like Clarence's apartment has the like the classic like red signs like right there with like,
straight out of like Beverly Hills Cop. Like you could see like Axel Foley driving by or something.
And his I'd fuck Elvis monologue.
Yeah,
he like that. It seems he's practiced that because he's delivering it once and then he's like on the tail. He like was telling somebody who wasn't like paying attention to
it. And she's like, I'd fuck Elvis too.
And then that's his like
it's like
spiel.
Right, exactly. He's got his like patter or whatever, like that,
like a Tarantino surrogate is
right, exactly.
Like,
and he's not like he is a more I'd love Tarantino's hinting that he's got like other books he wants to write, like novelizations of his movies, and like True Romance has got to be one of them because like like the same way that Cliff Booth is like a very different character in the book versus the movie. Clarence is all, like just looking at what's on the page, like just looking at the words that are coming out of his mouth, he is like pretty complicated, and he is like he could be the villain of the piece too. It's just because it's a glossy Tony Scott thing, and because it's Christian Slater, it's like he's the cinema hero.
Yeah.
But like I could see a version, like maybe a novel of the True Romance story where Clarence is like straight up like an across the board asshole.
He keeps saying that he's revisiting an early work for his 10. What if he comes back and does his direction of True Romance?
I could see. I mean, I feel like that would be like I would love it. I'm there for it. But I feel like it would be a missed opportunity because, like, True Romance as it is, yes, it's not what he intended. It's not how he envisioned it, but it is a classic. It is like a cinema classic, and I don't think you're going to do better. Like I don't think that even Quentin Tarantino, could do better than what Tony Scott did. Like it's not what Tarantino envisioned, but like it's really hard to make all the stars align for a project the way it like that movie
what a
works.
Cast.
Yeah, great cast. And like I said, like this little Brad Pitt cameo, and like it's just every and James Gandolfini, like all these people like before they became who they become, like a pre-Tony Soprano James Gandolfini is in it.
Don Simpson, a henchman, is Thor from the Hulk movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like
he gets to say Tarantino dialogue. Isn't that sick as hell?
Yeah, he was a really good character too because like it's all this all these people who like aren't going along with the program. It's like there's a way these movies are supposed to go, and like Tarantino like in his script is like take it like starting with all these tropes and then using it as a way to get you comfortable and then taking you in weird territory. And that guy, the Thor guy,
so funny.
Is so great because it's like he's the last guy, and then he goes into business for himself. He starts going rogue, and like you did not see that coming.
No, it's like I was laughing out loud at how it's like they're like he's supposed to be his like guards, but they're like extra psychotic.
Yes, yeah, he's hired to
protect him, and he's like over the top nuts. And then great one liner from fucking was that Chris Penn? He's like Thor's like I'm hit. Call me an ambulance, and he's like I'm gonna call you a hearse.
Yeah, I forgot Chris Penn is in it too. Yeah, like Mr. or a nice guy Eddie from Reservoir Dogs. Hateful Eight miniseries. I'd love to see a miniseries of the True Romance story because you got like you get little bits of it and it's so much fun, but you got like the whole like when the cops start coming in the story and like all their stuff with like wearing the wire, like Bronson Pinchot wearing the wire.
Tom Sizemore. I always say like Tom Sizemore's line. He's like, "You're an actor, act, motherfucker."
Yeah. That stuff's so great. Like man, like I can't picture Like even Tarantino himself, I can't picture it like him pulling it off and making like a classic. And again, like it's just so beautiful. Like, is it even possible in 2021 or 2022 or whatever to make a movie as beautiful as like a Tony Scott at the height of his powers? Yeah.
I don't like doesn't get any more gorgeous.
Yeah, do like cinematographers exist who do that? Do like can like a a camera like a camera made today capture
that's
the
like
light the way that did.
We don't get that anymore. It's like you get your mid-budget like B thriller that would have the guy that like was the cinematographer on like Jaws or something shooting.
Yeah.
It. It's like now it's like Joe Blow with like his like iPhone or whatever.
Yeah, it's
a long and no craftsman hanging around.
Because like a lot of that, like you'd hear about it with like Spielberg and stuff, where there was like this generation of cinematographers who had been working since the golden age, and then they start dying out, and so like now that generation like has been gone for decades at this point, but like Tony Scott might have had some of those guys still working with them in like the early 90s. Probably when you get closer to the end of Tony Scott's career, those guys are gone. But
Unstoppable.
Yeah, that's one Tarantino lists as like one of his favorites.
It.
Yeah.
And I always watch Deja Vu.
Vujade.
He's like Tony Scott. Mm-hmm. Even like his like lower tier stuff, like or like lesser Scott is still fucking like sizzling.
We'll have to do a Tony Scott episode pretty close. This is pretty close.
He's in the Total Recall Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I love like Dick Ritchie. Like there's so many great moments, and like Bronson Pinchot's so great. And when Bronson Pinchot starts breaking down, he's like, "Get me out of here!" Like, it's okay. like he's basically blowing it, and
they buy it.
Yeah, they buy it. Like so great. But like and Dick Ritchie, it's like it seemed like he blew that audition for the new T.J. Hooker. They're like, "Oh, you're very talented." Like they were just telling him he's talented to get him out of there. And then it's like he got the role, and then it's like we're still doing this. Like that's such a great moment.
I love it. I was so happy for Dick.
Yeah, he got the role, but like he's gonna go die now. And that's another instance where like, oh yeah, Clarence is an asshole because like a friend would be like, you know what? Don't even get wrapped up with like your life's about to go
down the toilet.
Well, it's about to go in this beautiful direction with this. Your dreams coming true. I'm not gonna get you involved in my bullshit. But he's like, hey, come on, man, let's go.
We got the deal.
Yeah, we got it. Hey, man.
Hey, Dick, it's me, Christian Slater.
yeah, Christian Slater, who is a Jack Nicholson acolyte. Yeah, it's me.
Hey, Dick, can you get me a meeting with...
They got all these, like, Hollywood, like, users. Like, all these people who are just, like, using each other to get what they want and stuff. And, like, Clarence is one of them too. He's just like using people.
I think Dick. Thank God. I think he gets out of there at the end.
No, Dick gets killed.
Get killed.
Yeah, he gets killed. Everybody gets killed except Clarence and
Alabama.
And
in the screenplay he dies.
Yeah, in the screenplay, don't they both die or just?
I think just Claire.
Okay, so just and so she like raises his baby or whatever. Like it's like it's like the end of Planet Terror.
Oh yeah.
Where she's got El Rey's son or daughter, and she's gonna raise El Rey's daughter.
So I've been seeing some like stuff online too, where they're like, Tarantino had something called like it's like Clarence and Alabama go to Cancun or something. But like if he envisioned him to die in his original screenplay, like, and if he was gonna reboot this, wouldn't you think he would have like Clarence die, or would he recast Robert Carradine and Joe Cusack as older Clarence in Alabama?
Yeah, interesting. Like, I mean, he's all about the swerve, so I could see him doing like any of the above. But like, and he talks about like in his script, Clarence dies, but he said like he felt like the way Tony ended it was right for the movie Tony made, because the way Tony made the movie, it's like that death wouldn't have been earned,
Yeah.
Where like the way he would have made the movie, the death would have been earned, but like it just didn't make sense in this like sort of glossy like Hollywood, world that Tony was making. Like a happy ending makes all the sense in the world.
You're right. I think that like it wouldn't have been if Clarence died at the end in a Tony Scott movie. I don't think it would have been the enduring classic that it is.
Like the ending reminds me of some things. The ending reminds me of Carlito's Way, like the fantasy scene. Like that's why it feels like it would be like and maybe even within Tony's movie, the end. Maybe Clarence living is a fantasy.
Oh my
and,
God.
and like the Carlito's Way, where it's like they're on the island and they're living their dream. Like maybe this is like Alabama's fantasy of what might have happened, and then also the like Taxi Driver, like he's wearing the Taxi Driver jacket. Like Taxi Driver is such a reference in this movie that it's like maybe it's like Taxi Driver. How there's all those theories about like how that Travis Bickle actually like died in that shootout, and then all that stuff about him becoming like a hero and Jodie Foster getting reconnected with her family is all just like the fantasy playing out in his head as he dies, in that scene, and then meeting Sybil Shepherd again. Like it's all just his dying thoughts, this dream. So like, within the Tony Scott one, maybe that ending is a fantasy.
That's awesome. Like,
I mean, it's there. It's like the happy ending is there if you want it.
Once again,
and
choose your own adventures. We've been on that that vibe. A crispy person. I always forget every time I watch True Romance at the very end when he's having seeing them down in Mexico. Christian Slater has like an eye patch on. I always forget. I'm like I was like, oh shit, he's got the eye patch. You're a good buddy, or Cliff is like, I try.
Yeah, the ending to like, even though it was like a 90s movie, it's got that 80s look, and I like the 90s are like a bygone. Like you can't recreate the 90s now. Like a 90s movie looks a certain way, an 80s movie looks a certain way. So like it's just kind of like it's like a time capsule. It's part of that era, and it works, and it brings brings that era with it.
That Tony Scott gloss, man.
Yeah, just like dry ice.
Dry ice.
Just like
if it's hot, you get the heat waves, the golden hour shots, silhouette, like
just all this like depth,
beautiful.
Rumor mills.
Yeah,
like I wonder if people became Elvis fans because of True Romance, because he gets such a talk up.
He does
in that movie.
Big fan, Clarence. Always have, always will.
You've been watching the True Romance episode of the Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And please support my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli. Follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli, and follow me on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And we'll see you later. You're the king. I always have. You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
I'm a big fan. So it's like
peanut butter and banana sandwich.
I'll meet you in the jungle room, maybe at Graceland. Always have been. I'm a big fan of the Total Recall Show. Always have been. Always will be.
I died on the shitter. How embarrassing! I died on the shitter. Ate too many peanut butter and banana sandwiches on the shitter.
It's like so embarrassing. I'm Elvis, and then
my ghost, my angel in heaven. I could have been the Jailhouse Rock angel in heaven, but since I died on the shitter.
Tom and Matt, I'm a big fan of the Total Recall Show. Always have been, always will be.